Hello, welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you recognize your dream of owning a home or investing in one. Today's show, I am going to be letting you guys know how do I go about finding grants. There are a number of places. Yes, you can Google some. And if you are going to use Google, make sure you put in your city or state and then put in housing grants. And you might come up with a list of what's available. I will let you know, though, that there are some grants that don't have a website at all. So where else can you go and get information? That's what I'm about to divulge to you right now. One place, believe it or not, is at parades. One parade that I particularly love to go to is the African American Day Parade right here in the city of Harlem. Now, when people are passing out flyers, don't ignore them, don't brush them off, or don't just take them and throw them in the garbage. Read what the flyer says. A lot of times, and particularly in this past parade that we had, they actually were giving out pamphlets that had information to grants. These people did not have a website. They just had a flyer that said, we're going to be discussing what grants are available to minority women. Please call this phone number. And that was it. So parades, as I said, are a wonderful resource for finding out what grants are available. The next place I go to is fairs and festivals. I love to go to them because they're a lot of fun. But in addition to that, a lot of times if you peruse some of the various tables of the exhibitors that are there, they may also have information for you as far as what grants are available for you to use for housing, for education, and or for starting your own business. Now, recently, I'm not sure if we're going to have it again this year, but a friend of mine organized a festival over on the east side. And what it was all of the organizations that were in the Harlem area gathered together underneath the train station on Park Avenue to let the greater part of Harlem know, here we are these as nonprofits, and this is what we do. And you had nonprofits not just on housing, but you had them on education as well as basic dietary needs in addition to all of that. So I would urge you to go. Many of the fairs and festivals are free. You do have a few that you have to pay. But for the most part, you can get this information at the free festival. Now, the only thing you would pay for at the free festival, of course, is food, and that's it. Okay? Now, the next place where I have gotten information as far as grants are concerned is HPD, which is the Housing Preservation Development Office. They don't have an office in every city, I've noticed that. But that's okay. You can go onto their website and you can get information there. The information for HPD, though, is basically for New Yorkers. HPD is a subsidiary of HUD, which is the Housing Urban Development. You can also go on that website. And HUD, is a national government program, if you will, or government office to help people with housing. Now, unfortunately, in recent developments, there have been some scandals that have occurred due to the current political administration. This is why voting is so important. It's so important. And hopefully, with what has happened, you guys will come out in 2020 or whenever else we have any election for anybody, president, Congress, governor, mayor, and any of your local representative, come out in full force so that you can have the right people in office so that you can have access to fair housing. Because unfortunately, the person who's in charge of HUD at the moment has done some really unscrupulous things. I'm kind of shocked because uh, where knowing the history of this person, I would not think that they would do it. But see, this is the thing with con artists. They come in all shades, shape, form, and they are out there to hurt people for absolutely no reason at all. Just none. But anyway, I digress. Getting back to the topic at hand, you can go there to get information on grants. Another place where I have found that has information on grants is prosperitynow.org. Their database is up and running, so you can go there and check to see if they have those, I believe it's called individual development accounts. These are matching funds. There are some organizations that if you put down a certain percent, they will put down another percentage and you don't have to pay them back. So I would definitely check them out. If you don't see anything in their database, I would urge you to give them a phone call. Next, another place, believe it or not, is the bank or credit union that you may want to use. You can even visit a bank or credit union that you don't want to use to help you as far as getting a mortgage, getting a loan for the house, and they will have information. They may not have as much as the others mentioned above, but they will definitely have information as far as what grants are available. Next, you have the neighborhood housing services. Unfortunately, neighborhood housing services is not available everywhere. Like they don't have an office everywhere in the United States. But if you have one in your area, I would definitely go there and visit them and try to get any information that you can. Now, another area where grants are sometimes given is there are some churches. There are some churches, not only will they help as far as paying a mortgage or paying rent when you've fallen under difficult times, there are some, not all, that may assist you as far as getting grants. Some of them do have home buyers fairs, for example, that you can definitely attend or you can inquire if they have it or not. Never be afraid to ask. If they say no, then they say no. If they laugh at you, you're just going to unfortunately have to chuck that up and just keep moving. Somebody out there has what you need. Never be afraid to ask. And even if you are afraid, ask anyway. Don't let the fear stop you. Okay? Next, I found that my local representative, those people that a lot of times we don't vote for because we're not really taught their importance. I'm not talking about your mayor or your governor. I'm talking about those district leaders. Many of them have access to a plethora of information. They don't always put it on their website. I don't know why. Funding is probably part of the reason, and a lot of times those offices are small. They don't have a whole lot of people working for them, and the people that are working for them are limited in knowledge when it comes to technology. So that's why sometimes it's best to actually go visit them, because with mine, I've called her office on the phone and stayed on hold for a long time, got disconnected, had to call back again. Finally, we went down there And we found that they were very nice people, but it was only 2 people in the whole office. That office really should have, I think, even if it had 5 people, that still wouldn't have been enough to handle all the phone calls and all the work that actually needs to be done there. So, but once you get there and once you talk to them, they have so much to share and they want to share it. They want to share it. So, yes, contact your local representative and be on top of who it is that is your local representative for your district and for your community. And then, lastly, speaking of community, there is your community board. Every now and then, sometimes they'll have flyers, but sometimes they'll have people who will come up and say, we are a new organization and we want to do X, Y, and the Z. And sometimes the X, the Y, or the Z is to help people in obtaining a house or buying a multifamily or fixing a multifamily. It's grant money that's being given. But again, they may not have a website. But I'll tell you what some of them do, and mine definitely does, is they will hold Facebook meetings. Like they'll take the meeting in the office and they'll tape it and make it a Facebook Live. So you can see, if you're not able to physically attend all the time like myself, you can go and you can physically see if they have something on Facebook, if they do Facebook Live. If they don't, call them and ask them if there is someone who would be willing to do such a thing. And then, of course, share it with your neighbors, because the more comments that they get, the more likes or any type of emotional recognition that they get when they do those Facebook Lives, it actually encourages them to keep on doing it over and over again. And they feel as though, somebody is caring, somebody is using the information that they have, and that the neighborhood will become a better neighborhood when they see more and more people getting active and when they see more and more people looking at it. And let me tell you something else that many of you may not be aware of. What's crazy is that a lot of these nonprofit organizations that'll just appear and open up, in their heart, they want to help people. But they may not necessarily have the marketing budget to go out there and to advertise and to say, hey, we're here. So what happens is they'll pull that money away and they'll shut down the program, especially if it's a government program. They're known to do things like that. So that's basically a little taste of where I go to get my information as far as grants are concerned to assist myself. I have already used and applied for grants, not just for my education and not just for the house, but I am also involved in a community garden by way of through my mother. And we have also gotten grants, primarily her, to be quite honest with you, her and her garden. I've written to various local representatives in my government in order to get certain things done. So it is possible, it is plausible. Again, don't be afraid to ask, because if you don't ask, you'll never know what the answer is going to be. And also, let me add this. Ask more than one person, because I have found that in many companies, they'll tell one person information and then they won't tell the rest of the people the information, and the rest of the people don't know what's going on. You also have, unfortunately, you have some people who are haters who may not want you for whatever reason. Maybe they don't like your swagger or whatever it is, and they won't share information with you. So even if you're laughed at and it hurts your feelings, you talk to one person, speak to somebody else and verify and make sure it is what it is. So, anyway, thanks, guys. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, this information will help you make smarter financial moves. Remember, feel free to pass this along because each one, reach one, can teach one or teach many. Anyway, bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.